Thanks for taking the time out to watch this. My name is Steve Young, and I'm running for school board in Londonderry, New Hampshire. I've been in business since 1989 with a local company, Imageability, Inc., and we're a marketing services company based here in town. I've been living in town for about 30 years. And the great thing about having a business here is we get to live here, to work here, to play here, and at least some extra time to help out the school system and other community activities. I served for 3 years on the budget committee. That was my entry into the community. I ran down and talked to the town council at one point because they were putting a banner over the road and they were getting it for cost, and the cost was way too high. So we came down and we donated it for Old Home Day. Got involved with that, ran for the budget committee, and even was able to be chairman of the budget committee for one out of those 3 years. I also asked for an appointment to the Manchester Airport Authority. And I served on the Airport Authority for 8 years. And at the time I exited that commission, I served as the secretary, the vice chairman of the Airport Authority. I've served on the school board now for 3 terms. In those 3 terms, we've made quite a few changes in the school district. There's been quite a bit of growth. There's also been quite a bit of decrease in the number of students that we have. During that time, we challenged the state on school funding, adequate funding of education. I'm the president of NHCAFE. That's New Hampshire Communities for an Adequate Funding of Education. During the middle of the last decade, we sued the state and we won, forcing them to define, cost out, and provide funding for an adequate education. I serve on a number of committees and organizations in the community. The thing that I really like to focus on is the success of the school system. Over my tenure on the school system, the graduation rate has been driven way, way up. The graduation rate is 99.82%. A lot of people like to say the dropout rate's under 1%. But when this country has a situation where we have 30% of the people in the country dropping out of school, and we're able to graduate all but one last year student from our high school, that's a major improvement. Nearly 90% of our students go on to college, 2-year schools, or the service. Other students go on to positions and a successful life with their degree. In the time period I've been on the school board, we've changed the number of credits that are required. We now require 24 credits versus the state mandate of 20. What that means is the students are getting a better education here in Londonderry, and they're more prepared to go to college or to go on to the businesses that they're interested in. The adult education program was put in place, and what that does is for those students that may not be able to succeed at those 24 credits, they can still get a Londonderry State of New Hampshire diploma by going through the adult education program. They do so by coming to school in the afternoons or in the evenings so that they can work during the day. The school districts receive many awards. The Superintendent of the Year, we have Andy Corey as the Principal of the Year, Mary Colton as Vice Principal of the Year, Howard Sobeloff, Flora Sampson, High School of the Year, the School Board of the Year, and a number of other awards such as music and arts. But let me be clear, it's not because I'm on the school board. I'm just one of 5. The real success in this district is due to the community, the people that live here, the people that care for the community, the people that love it here. The school staff, they're the ones that make it happen. The school board only has one person reporting to them, and that's Nate Greenberg. And we're lucky enough that our board of 5, our board of directors, has a superintendent that is just outstanding and has a successful district. The district's success is more important for the community than for the parents at times. And let me explain that. The district's success is what keeps our home values high. People, when they come to this community, in my business, people come to relocate here and they ask about Londonderry. The first question they ask is, how are the schools? What are the schools like? They want to know for their children, and they also want to know for their businesses. Whether their business is bringing in high-tech manufacturing or their business is a grocery store that might be located at one of the exits here in Londonderry, they want to know, do they have the workforce that's available to them at the schools so that they can come and work with them. Let's talk about cost savings. Everybody always wants to have cost savings. Over the years, what we've done is we've right-sized the district. The population of the district has decreased. As a matter of fact, before I was on the school board, my students, my children, were unlucky enough to go to school where we had classrooms of 30 to 33 students, and they were even in the cafeteria. Well, those days are gone, and now we're dealing with classroom sizes in the elementary schools of 19 to 24 students. But as our population has decreased, what we've done is we've right-sized the district. We've taken and we've made sure that we don't have too many teachers around, that we don't have too many aides around. And we've taken opportunities when people retire to maybe not rehire them, so it's as comfortable as possible. But when required, like last year, we have to let people go. And since I've been on the board, we have had about 120, 130 people that have left the district. Now it's difficult. I run into them in the grocery store at times, but it's the right thing to do for the district, for the taxpayer. We need to keep it healthy. And when we do start to grow again, we need to have the community support the district in bringing back teachers. The other areas that we've had cost savings include the special education program. What we've done there is we've saved millions of dollars by bringing the students back into district, by creating programs within the district for special education students so that they no longer have to go on a bus for a trip to a community far away. And in the past, when I first started on the board, we had students that were going all the way down to Cape Cod in order to go to some specialized school that they needed to for their IEP. Well, by having the programs within the schools, not only do we save money, we keep them off the bus and we keep them in the community with their families and with the school district. And that just makes sense. We save an awful lot of money on the energy program. As a matter of fact, all of the schools except for Moose Hill are ENERGY STAR rated. And I know it sounds a little bit silly. It's like if you open the door, does the light come on? But the fact is, the schools are rated as ENERGY STAR schools, and that money that we've saved, we've been able to keep the budget from expanding much, much faster than it would have. As a matter of fact, we've added square footage in the last 9 years to the school district, and even though we've added that footage because of the cost savings we've put in energy, we're actually spending less money on energy than we were before. And that's with the gas prices, the oil prices going from less than $1 a gallon up to $3, more than $3 a gallon that we pay today. So huge savings by making sure that we monitored the energy. On the board, I've had an opportunity to be what I call a Yankee adapter. You may be familiar with the firm, an early adopter. A Yankee adopter, it's somebody that takes a look at the technology, at the changes, and they make their move after the cost curve comes down. I remember the school district looked at PDAs as an option for all of its assistant principals. And I just said to the board, and I said to Nate, this just is not the right thing to do. Our assistant principals know who everyone is. They don't need a PDA to see all the students. So that was something that didn't get adopted. We started to adopt smart boards, but we adopted them slowly over time, and we waited for those cost curves to come down. We've done things like had our students build their own computers, build the computers for the school. So by building the computers, they earn a trade. The school district gets them for lower prices and saves money. It's a win all the way around. There's going to be a lot of challenges in the next 3 years. The state and state funding is going to continue to come down. Just this year, as we prepared the budget, we found that we were downshifted about $1.5 million. We have $900,000 that was downshifted for the cost of retirement funding that now we have to bear the burden, and that just goes directly to you, the local taxpayer. We have downshifting in costs of transportation. We have downshifting in cost of special education funding, where they will no longer cover it and we have to cover it. We have an increase in the state property tax. Now don't be fooled, the state property tax isn't sent to the state. It's simply a number the state assigns to us, and we must pay it, the local taxpayers. So there was an increase in that. With all those items this year alone, that was $1.5 million. So we had to find a way in the budget to make sure that we could work that in and keep costs down as low as possible. Presently, we've got yet another constitutional amendment up there at the House. So we'll have to deal with that and fight that. Today they're mandated to provide us with $3,450 for an adequate education. It costs a lot more than that to educate the student, but that's the number they determined. We accept that, and we need those funds. The constitutional amendment in different forms may in fact take that away from us, putting the burden yet again on the community taxpayer. We'll talk about some solutions to that in just a minute. We need to keep right-sizing the school district. We need to look and to make sure that we eliminate positions when we can, but we keep class sizes at a manageable level. We want to make sure that the students are getting the absolute best education that they can. We need to take care of our facilities. Do you know we have 685,000 square feet of facilities here in Londonderry, New Hampshire, that's used continuously? You know, because you probably are using the schools. The sports teams are in the schools, the local churches are in the schools, you have cheerleading in the schools, you have Boy Scouts and Cub Scouts in the schools, activities in the schools that are continually under use. There's basketball games up at North School. We need to take care of those facilities and make sure that they remain safe and appropriate. The school district has some old buildings. The central school, Matthew Thornton School, was built as a replacement for our one-room schoolhouses. You know, you go into that building today and it's clean and it's right, and this year it got sprinklers, and that's a good thing. We need to make sure that we keep up and make sure that our facilities are in good shape so that we don't have to build any new ones like so many communities to our south in Massachusetts. The cost to our budget for the personnel that we have in the budget, it's 80% of our budget. It's a huge driver in our budget. This year alone, we have a teacher contract that's coming up, and just the cost for this year, if it's approved, it's $625,000 to the district. And that is a lot of money, and I know that the Budget Committee is not supporting it, although the school board is. That $625,000 increase is about a 2% increase. It's about half a step. And what happens there is, it's the reason the number's so big is this bargaining unit is nearly 500 people. It's a $25 million asset for the community. So it is a large group of people that are taking care of the school district's product, which is the education of the students. Now, other locations, it's been said, are having a 0% this year. And frankly, I wasn't on this negotiating committee for the teachers, and I would have loved to have a 0%. But it was determined that what they thought would work for them and what the school board thought would work for the district is where we are now. But Derry, it said, has a 0% increase. The reality is Derry's not at 0%. They still have a cost of living increase in there. So you have to take a look. The 2% is just the 2% for our teachers for this year. And yes, it does increase in future years. But let's talk about that number. You need to look at different parts of the contract. In the past, the teachers had given up sick days. Do you know 4 sick days is equal to 4 people? So if we are able to get, and we have, 4 sick days back from the teachers, that means that we can keep 4 teachers in the classroom. There's other areas in town, right in Londonderry, and other communities that are looking at 0% increases. But you have to take a look at other parts of their contract. Do you know that the school district pays $500 if you don't take your health insurance? That's a great savings. The school district is paying out quite a bit of money for health insurance, and having to pay the teacher only $500 is a pretty good deal, because now we don't have to pay their health insurance. But the town side, the least amount of money that's paid out if you don't take your health insurance is $2,500. So what does that mean? That means you have a delta, you have a difference there of $2,000. Now let's take our bargaining unit of 500 people, and let's say 200 of them decide, boy, $2,000 is a pretty good deal. How much does that cost the district? You're talking about $400,000. So you have to look at the whole contract and find out what all the parts of the contract mean and how they impact the budget. The real issue is we need to find a better solution. And you can look all you want to paper clips, and I hear candidates, and I hear voters, and I hear people that live in the community saying, Why can't you cut the number of copies you make? Why can't you cut the sports program? Why can't you cut the music program? Why can't you increase the number of students in the classroom? Well, there's two sides to this equation. There's both the expense side and then there's the revenue side. If we can increase the revenue side, and we're going to need to, because the personnel costs are simply going to escalate over the future years. We have plenty of land, we have plenty of property here in Londonderry that we can expand upon, and we can broaden the tax base. Now, if you don't think it makes a difference, let's take a look at Granite Ridge Energy. My company, and me personally, helped Granite Ridge Energy, along with Kathy Wagner, to come into the community about 13, 14 years ago. We spent a lot of time with them. They actually hired us at one point to get them into the community, and they put money into the community. Today, they put $6.5 million a year into the community. That's over $9 a minute that they're paying in taxes, and they didn't bring a single child to this community. If you don't think that's real money, that's $3 on the tax rate. Yes, I know it seems like your taxes may not have gone down and that money's being spent, but what if we continued expansion? Take a look at a couple of businesses in town that have come in over the last decade. Home Depot and Harvey Windows. Now, very different companies. One's a storefront and one's a manufacturing facility. Harvey Windows and Home Depot provide us with $300,000 apiece. Now, $300,000 in the school district could buy 4 teachers. So, add another Home Depot. Now, we certainly don't want another Home Depot, probably a Cabela's or a Target or whatever your favorite store happens to be. And how about a manufacturing plant of doors, or a manufacturing plant for high technology, or a distribution center for a large company? We've got well over 1,000 acres in the community that's ready for development today. We've got an airport access road that I worked on when I was on the Airport Authority that finally broke through and opened in the fall. The traffic's now flowing on that. We need to open up the north end of the community around the Manchester-Boston Regional Airport, which most of it is in Londonderry, and we need to start to get businesses there. To that point, Kathy and I have both started the Londonderry Commerce and Visitor Center. The concept of the Londonderry Commerce and Visitor Center is to make this community look like the best place to live, work, and play. We want to take and we want to put in motion the slogan that that town paid for. Business is good, life is better. You can take a look at it at visitlondonderry.com, and what you'll see is you'll see profiles of this community. You'll see the churches, you'll see the community organizations, you'll see the nonprofits, you'll see the businesses, you'll see detailed corporate profiles. So when a business comes into the community, they want to know what is it like there. So they can look at Baderas, and they can look at Kluber Lubrication, and they can look at Harvey Windows, or they can look at Granite Ridge, or Stonyfield Yogurt. They can find out, what are my neighbors going to be like? What kind of place is this going to be? And I guess the challenge is, I'm going to ask everyone to help us, to pull together and to broaden that tax base and to increase the revenue so that we can afford the increasing costs that are unavoidable in the school district and in the town. Other than that, I'd appreciate your vote, and I'd like to have you come out to the polls on March 13th and vote for Steve Young for school board. I'd appreciate it. And if you'd like to talk, my number's on the web. All the school board members' numbers are at londonderry.org, and it's 437-1938. I'd be happy to chat with you and discuss anything you'd like to talk about. Have a great day.